What are we talking about today? Femboys. Colloquially might be called fembology. I think technically speaking is femboyology. Again, colloquially as femboys with an I. In terms of pronunciation, I think we are talking about femboys. As most of our definitions do, coming from Wikipedia, femboy is a slang term for a young male who displays traditionally feminine characteristics. So a male who displays traditionally, right, feminine characteristics. A little bit of history. The word femboy emerges by at least the 90s, the 1990s, and beginning as a sort of derogatory term for a man who didn't adhere to, here's the word again, traditional standards of masculinity, being a slang shortening of the word feminine, right here. And boy, obviously coming from the fact that they are male. It does seem that, especially in internet culture, that femboy, the term femboy, has emerged as sort of a positive term, appealing to a range of individuals who might be attracted to a mix of feminine and masculine traits, perhaps even prompting a genre of internet media. In recent times, the platform Pornhub has even introduced the term femboy as a searchable category on its website, and that happened in 2013. And since then, the search interest for the term has dramatically increased. So, again, we're going back to the idea of the origins of femboy being, Wikipedia states derogatory and becoming more and more, you could say perhaps is, dare I say, co-opted. I would like to make the comparison to like the word weeb, starting as something a little derogatory, but being used sometimes tongue-in-cheek, but definitely becoming a sort of positive term. That I do think it's not wrong of me to say that someone that we would think fits in this category of femboy would refer to themselves as a femboy. Femboy, the term, right, as I just said, it came to be adopted as a self-descriptor. Descriptor for guys who tend toward presenting feminine, a scale of femininity, some more than others, some less, for non-sexual purposes, right? These persons adopt femininity as a form of everyday expression, gender expression, right? Donning a conventionally, traditionally feminine aesthetic by wearing, it could be a range, right? It can include all of the following or one, wearing makeup, feminine clothing, dresses, thigh highs, panties, garter belts, and chokers. Being a femboy, it doesn't necessarily tie to any sexual orientation. Very often, question is it gay? Complicated answer. I know you want a yes or no answer, and it cannot be done. To tackle the question, are femboys gay? Very common question. A little uninformed and, a little ignorant if you ask me, but I'm not here to judge, I'm here to teach. In quantum mechanics, Schrodinger's cat is a thought experiment that illustrates a paradox of quantum superposition. Schrodinger's cat, literally a cat in this thought experiment, is encased in this box, right? And there's a flask of poison right here and a radioactive source placed in a sealed box. If an internal monitor, in this case a Geiger counter, detects radioactivity as in a single atom decaying, the flask right here is shattered, releasing the noxious poison, which in turn kills the cat. The Copenhagen interpretation of quantum mechanics implies that after a while, the cat is simultaneously both alive or dead. The thought experiment is that once you look into the box, you can see that the cat is either going to be alive or dead. When you literally open the box, you can't see it both be alive and dead. It's either going to be alive or dead. But before you observe it to be, before you open the box to look inside and see it, it's either alive or dead until you confirm it. Schrodinger's cat, or another aka Schrodinger's femboy. Gay and not gay at the same time. It doesn't feel right to say it's strictly gay, but it's definitely not straight. This harkens back to the definition of gender expression being, feminine as a guy. The world is not black and white, binaries. We work in shades of gray, or shades of gay. Moving on. Any questions about that? I think I'm being pretty straightforward about this. Being a femboy, dressing effeminate, again, can be a sort of gender expression role. It doesn't always have to be sexual. However, maybe a little misguided to completely ignore that side of things. So, we're going to be talking about, this is a subject that I'm very familiar with. In fact, our groundbreaking research on this subject is what got me my initial platform here at Ligma University. We're going to be talking about the pussy. Why is it so submissive and breedable? We talk about the pussy, we talked about submissive and breedable, and that the intersection, the union rather, is pussy, but we never answered the question, why the pussy? On the surface level, one might consider a male's entrance to be the exact opposite of breedable. When compared to the conventional woman's pussy, or wussy, as I call it. But that is the exact reason why the pussy is so desirable. I think it has to do with subversion. The fact that the male entrance is not supposed to be bred makes it that much more desirable. Like a cookie jar that your mom left out. You can only have one after dinner. Don't go near that cookie jar. Don't go, hey, get away from my pussy. Again, a woman's pussy, a wussy, is traditionally, biologically meant to be bred, but to breed another male, to dominate another male. I mean, what is more masculine than that? I can't think of anything more masculine than making another male submit their pussy to you. The ultimate act of masculinity. In fact, the ultimate act of heterosexuality, if I've ever seen it. Fight or flight, you're in the wild, hunting for, that pussy in the jungle. It's about who is the apex predator, who is the apex pussy blaster in the wild. Eat or get eaten. A little bit of history. Not sure how you pronounce this. Kocek? What is the kocek? The kocek, plural being koçekler, in Turkish, was typically a very handsome young male, unfortunately perhaps a slave, raucous, or a dancer who usually cross-dressed in feminine attire and was employed as an entertainer. We don't have any pictures, of course pictures didn't exist back then, but I imagine something like this. Kocek. Before starting their performance, these Turkish dancers, these koçeks, male dancers, would dance among the spectators to rile them up, to get them more excited. And this really speaks to how we talk about why the pussy. This is why. The competition to garner the attention of these koçeks by people sitting in the audience often caused so much commotion and altercations, fights. Men in the audience would go wild. They would literally fight each other. They'd break their glasses. They would shout, kill each other. Yes, you heard me. Men in Turkey would kill each other for the pussy. History, if we don't learn from it, we're doomed to repeat ourselves. And it seems like we are repeating in full force. The femboys have existed for a very long time, and this seems to be encoded in our DNA. Pussy. Yes, because we see the remnants of the koçek still today. What does this remind you of? right here. I don't think it's a rhetorical, because I think you know the remnants of the culture still today. That is Link, Gerudo Link, yes, from the Breath of the Wild. Another example could be Lilac Cookie from Cookie Run Kingdom. These are artifacts, and the reason why we like it so much is because, again, it's in the blood of our ancestors. I think we would be wrong to talk about femboys without at least mentioning the word trap. I do not like this word, but to not talk about this word in discussion with femboys, it's just ignoring the obvious. I don't like this word. The implication of the word trap implies this, like, secretive, like, almost malicious, like, undercover, like you're tricking people, right? Deceitful, like you're tricking them, or you're trapping them, right? And so, you know, the origins of the word, I think, were referring to, like, in anime, a boy that is effeminate, that looks like a girl, right? Sometimes more attractive than the girl. Not to be confused with a trap as in the ghetto, you know, where people are stuck in a cycle of selling drugs and hustling to survive, and therefore trapped and unable to leave and make a better life for themselves. No, that's the trap. We're talking about traps. I think originally it was supposed to stay, you know, in terms of fictional realm, right? But I don't know who co-opted this word, started to apply it to real people. That's when we start to get into this territory of, again, I don't like this pretext of, like, we're trapping people. I really don't like this use of the word, and why I think this is very outdated, right? Like, first and foremost, it's being used, like, with malicious intent. It's being used as a derogatory term, right? First and foremost. But there's a secondary aspect that I think we aren't even acknowledging, which is that it's fundamentally flawed and wrong to equate the word trap with a femboy, or to equate the idea of a trap with a femboy. Why? Because I'm not being fooled. I'm actively seeking out the dick and the bussy. I'm not being fooled. My intention is first and foremost that these are men, that they have dick. At this point, it's just, again, forget the derogatory usage of it. It's just simply not right. It's counterintuitive to the modern appreciation, the modern usage of people being femboys. Because I think if you're a male and you want to be a femboy, I don't think that it's not right for you to feel like you need to pretend to not be male. I think the point of fembology, of femboyology, is that it can be a sort of empowering feeling. You can be a femboy and not be afraid to say that I can be effeminate and a male. I'm not trapping anyone. I'm not fooling anyone. That's not my intention. And if you're seeking it out in that term, we're not about that. Why do I feel strongly about this? Because I myself have engaged the practice, and I guess this comes to my next point. The next question is, the question is, I'm talking about femboys. We're lecturing about femboys. Professor Lando, are you a femboy? I will be providing you some contextual media for reference. So, in my research in fembology, I was in the field, some anthropological work as a femboy. And this is me practicing the art of fembology in the field, right? Some people, they join Red Cross and they go across the seas to help impoverished nations, impoverished communities. Some people do missionary work for the church. Some people enlist in the military, put their lives on the line. I dressed up as a Stolfo at an anime convention. To classify someone as a femboy, is there a ratio of time spent dressing up feminine, wearing makeup, doing feminine things versus being, masculine, or just being, themselves as in male? That seems like gatekeeping to me. And that doesn't seem right. Is every once in a while enough to be a femboy? You want to say that you can just be a femboy no matter how much, but however, if you're trying to lose weight and every day you eat McDonald's and one day out of the month you eat a salad, doesn't mean you're dieting. You know what I mean? Do I have to constantly shave my body to be a femboy every day? Do I even need to do it at all? I don't know. Saying it out loud, I want to say no. Once a femboy, always a femboy. Much like the Marines. I think a femboy lecture would not be really complete without some mention of popular references in pop culture, aka femboys. As you can see here, I have ample artifacts of a certain character named Astolfo from Fate Grand Order. I gotta make sure not to draw this too quickly as to avoid rousing suspicion. Astolfo, Rider of Black. I really like Astolfo as a character, but I would hate to boil down Astolfo to simply being the gateway drug of femboys. I do think that we need to acknowledge that Astolfo is sort of that. Is the marijuana of femboys, the gateway femboy. Let's throw up some examples. Hidari from Blend S. I recently started playing this game. Venti from Genshin Impact. Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Sasha from Animal Crossing. To talk about the fact that femboys come in all different shapes and sizes, we talked about, like, do I need to be shaven every day? Do I have to be, this traditional femboy look all the time? I want to say no. I think that's the right answer. We are all connoisseurs of femboys. I imagine sort of like a fancy masquerade, right? Like some European, we're all wearing suits and ties and we have swirly mustaches. Classical music is playing, Yes, indubitably, I've come here to the welcome everyone to the monthly gathering of us femboy connoisseurs. My name is Sir Maxwell Worthington II, and president of our here chapter of the Femboy Connoisseurship, and I do like to enjoy my femboys to be a certain way, and I have my preference, and you know how it is. For me personally, enjoy my femboys to be a little more masculine. So this is going to be controversial. Some characters in anime, their build and voice are basically just a girl, aka Hidari from Blend S, which is fine. To be a femboy, there's a spectrum. But to me, these characters are just femboy in name. For all extensive purposes in their media, they're simply another female character. Why even make them a femboy? It almost seems like pandering at that point or something. Where's the boy? And again, there's some men out there that are very feminine, very feminine presenting, and that's fine. But I'm just saying that in terms of being a femboy, don't be so worried about being uber feminine. Cloud is a perfect example of my ideal femboy. Maybe because I relate to the character more physically, mentally. I think that's part of it. Maybe sort of projecting myself onto the character. Cloud is very, you could even say built, very, very masculine. Compared to characters like Hidari and Venti. Link very much fits into this category. Not like masculine as like huge honking macho, like huge characters. To see characters like Cloud wearing the dress, cross-dressing, getting dicked down in the bathroom of the Honeybee Inn in Final Fantasy, there's something more relatable to me there. I would like to cap this lecture by simply saying that I believe the taint is the male version of cleavage, where the mound, you talk about purple mountain majesty, this sort of mound, the great American dream, rather, where the taint meets the top of the balls. That is like a golden zone. And much like where the thighs meet the thigh high, I do think that is sort of like the male version of cleavage. And now that I'm thinking about it, I might just be gay.